This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Friday, December 13th, 2024. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The debate is raging about mysterious drones spotted flying over sensitive areas in New Jersey. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
President-elect Donald Trump is once again named Time Magazine's Person of the Year.
Thank you very much. This is an honor.
I'm Jim Roope.
A new watchdog report found that FBI intelligence had missteps before the January 6th riot. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
A historic move as President Biden prepares to exit the White House. I'm Clayton Neville.
On Wall Street, investors are hoping for a winning Friday the 13th today after yesterday's losses. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
The McDonald's employee who called 911, leading to an arrest in the shooting death of the CEO of United Healthcare, is eligible for a reward. I'm Ed Donahue.
All ahead on America in the Morning. The debate is raging from small towns to Capitol Hill and the Pentagon over reported sightings of mysterious drones over New Jersey and other parts of the Mid-Atlantic. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports there are a number of theories as to where the drones are coming from, including New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew, who told Fox News he's pointing the finger of blame at Iran.
Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones, is everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from high sources. I don't say this lightly. These drones should be shot down.
The debate is raging about mysterious drones spotted flying over sensitive areas in New Jersey and other parts of the Mid-Atlantic. As the number of drone sightings goes up, Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal says the Biden administration should take aggressive action against them.
We should be doing some very urgent intelligence analysis and take them out of the skies, especially if they're flying over airports or military bases. We should be shot down if necessary.
New Jersey's Cory Booker says his constituents are worried.
I've been a little frustrated. There hasn't been enough transparency, letting people know what's happening. It's allowing a lot of potentially misinformation to spread, or at least fear. We should know what's going on over our skies, and I've asked for a lot more information.
At the White House,
we understand that people are concerned. We understand that they got questions. We got questions too. We have no evidence at this time that the reported drone sightings pose a national security or a public safety threat, or have a foreign nexus. The Department of Homeland Security and the FBI are investigating these sightings.
But so far, National Security spokesman John Kirby says neither local, state, nor federal agencies have actually corroborated any reported sightings.
We have not been able to, and neither have state or local law enforcement authorities, corroborate any of the reported visual sightings. To the contrary, upon review of available imagery, it appears that many of the reported sightings are actually manned aircraft that are being operated lawfully.
Kirby says there's no evidence of any security threat or foreign involvement. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
President-elect Donald Trump receives a double honor along with being named Time Magazine's Person of the Year. He got to ring the opening bell on Wall Street. Jim Roope reports.
We start first with the first for the president-elect. With his most current Time Magazine Person of the Year cover as the backdrop, Mr. Trump opened trading on Wall Street. Mr. Trump praised the New York Stock Exchange and joked that he bought the building across the street from the New York Stock Exchange many years ago because it was across the street from the New York Stock Exchange. He also promised his upcoming term will turn an economic boon for the nation.
We're going to do things, I think, that haven't been really done before. We're going to be cutting taxes still further. You know, we got it down to 21%. We're going to bring it down even below that. I think we're going to really incentivize the country to go back and work, and they will be incentivized. They're going to do well.
He thanked Time Magazine for being named Person of the Year for the second time.
I think I like it better this time, actually.
From its website, Time wrote, for 97 years, the editors of Time have been picking the Person of the Year, the individual who, for better or for worse, did the most to shape the world and the headlines over the past 12 months. In many years, that choice is a difficult one. In 2024, it writes, it was not.
Thank you very much. This is an honor, a tremendous honor.
The magazine says it selected Mr. Trump because of what it calls a comeback of historic proportions, adding Trump is once again at the center of the world and in as strong a position as he has ever been. Time has given the Person of the Year honor to the winner of the U.S. presidential election in each race since 2000, and it was quite a field of possible Persons of the Year this year. Others who had been named finalists for the honor included Vice President Harris, billionaire Elon Musk, podcast host Joe Rogan, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm Jim Roope.
When we return on America in the Morning, Biden's prolific pardon pen after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. More lake effect snow expected today. With details, here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
As a large and rather strong area of high pressure drifts across the southern Great Lakes region today, it will lead to a reduction in the gusty winds that had been fueling lake effect snow since midweek, with snow totals already exceeding 20 inches since Wednesday for parts of northwestern lower Michigan, and snow accumulations approaching 3 feet just south of Buffalo, New York. For today, the shifting winds should lead to much of the steady snow winding down for much of lower Michigan, western New York, and northwestern Pennsylvania. However, the wind direction may still support some snow for the eastern upper peninsula of Michigan and areas of New York that are downwind of Lake Ontario, especially just to the north of Syracuse, may have a narrow band of snow continuing for most or all of the daylight period. Elsewhere in the nation, a much more active time proceeds in the west as the latest in what will be a string of storms leads to widespread steady rain and mountain snow from northern California through much of Oregon and Washington by late in the day, perhaps even reaching southwestern Idaho. The precipitation may turn out more showery for the Pacific Northwest coastline, but the bottom line is that it's a wet end to the work week in store. Wind will also be a factor in spots this evening and into tomorrow, with gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour around the San Francisco Bay Area and gusts perhaps reaching 80 miles per hour through the Sierra Nevada, possibly leading to some power outages. A large portion of the rest of the country looks dry today, but there can be some showers for the Atlantic coast of Florida, along with rough surf and rip currents. Showers can also break out from the Gulf Coast of Texas northward to Nebraska and Iowa, where a mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain is also likely. In Kansas City, cloudy skies give way to an afternoon shower with a high of 43. In Atlanta, look for some sunshine with a high of 57. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. A new report on the January 6, 2021 riot at the U.S. Capitol cites some FBI missteps in how they approached security that day. Correspondent Haya Panjwani uncovers those details.
A new watchdog report found that FBI intelligence had missteps before the January 6th riot. The report says the FBI should have done more to collect intelligence before the Capitol riot, even though the Bureau did prepare for the possibility of violence on January 6th, 2021. It also says no undercover FBI employees were present that day, and none of the Bureau's informants were cleared to participate. The report from the Justice Department Inspector General's office knocks down a fringe conspiracy theory by some Republicans in Congress that the FBI played a role in instigating the events of January 6th. Haya Panjwani, Washington.
First, his son Hunter pardoned, but President Biden doesn't stop there. The president has announced many more pardons and commutations of sentences. Here's correspondent Clayton Neville.
The most well-known of President Biden's pardons is that of his son Hunter, but certainly Hunter not the only one.
He is granting clemency to approximately 1,500 Americans, the largest act in a single day.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre this week announcing that those who are being commuted are committed to making their communities safer.
The president is commuting the sentences of 1,500 individuals who were placed on home confinement during the COVID-19 pandemic and who have successfully reintegrated into their families and communities.
The president also pardoning 39 individuals
who were convicted of 9 non-violent crimes. The Americans receiving relief today include a decorated military veteran, a nurse who has led response for a number of natural disasters, and an addiction counselor who volunteers his time to help young people. That's just to name a few.
There's speculation that President Biden could pardon names President-elect Trump could go after once back in the White House, names like Liz Cheney and Dr. Anthony Fauci. The White House says more announcements are expected in coming weeks. I'm Clayton Neville.
Coming to a bank near you, lowered overdraft fees. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. The Business Report is brought to you by Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, always putting clients' interests first. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com. With the Friday Report, here's CNBC's Jessica Ettinger.
Wall Street opens this morning after a pullback for stocks yesterday following a hotter than expected inflation report at the wholesale level. The Dow was down 230 points. Apple closed at its 10th straight record high yesterday.
It is getting to be just a little bit more of an anxious churn. Really, we're barely off the highs in the S&P 500.
CNBC's Mike Santoli. Costco out with better than expected quarterly results. That happened last night after the closing bell. Watch those shares today. President-elect Trump at the New York Stock Exchange yesterday, ringing the opening bell, touting the strong economy, promising more. And he told CNBC Mad Money host Jim Cramer, corporations will be getting a bigger possible tax cut than in his first term if they earn it.
You know, we got it down to 21%. We're going to bring it down even below that. You pay 21 if you don't build here, and if you do, we're going to try getting it down to 15%, but you have to make your product in the USA.
The banking industry says it's exploring all options. It wants to push back on a new rule for consumers. The caps account overdraft fees. As of October 1st of next year, the bank will be able to charge only a $5 fee instead of the average $35 a customer pays for taking out more money than is in his or her account. Now, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says banks readily allow overdrafts, especially on debit cards, so they can generate these fees. Christopher Nolan's 10-year-old movie Interstellar, it's been re-released into theaters. Tickets are selling out everywhere, and some are now for sale on secondary markets for more than $200 a seat. The New York Mets have announced Juan Soto as their newest player. It happened yesterday at a media conference, and the highest-paid professional athlete at $765 million over 15 years is what happens when everybody wants him.
I call Juan a centurion, and he's one of the few players that in a century meet the mark of performance value at such a young age. When we started, there were close to half the league wanted to participate in this, and we reduced that. And in the end, we had difficulty reducing the numbers because so many teams were seeking this rare value.
Soto's agent Scott Boros on CNBC. On today's watch list, it is Friday the 13th, second of the year, but there's only one next year. New in theaters, Sony's Kraven the Hunter and Warner Brothers' latest Lord of the Rings movie. Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot, more than $500 million at $670 million.
CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. McDonald's Luigi Mangione tipster may not get the reward. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. There is a potential payoff for the McDonald's worker and others who helped police make an arrest in the killing of the United Healthcare CEO. However, as correspondent Ed Donahue reports, collecting the five-figure reward may not be easy.
The McDonald's employee who called 911, leading to an arrest in the shooting death of the CEO of United Healthcare, is eligible for a reward. But getting that reward could take time. About 30 tips came into New York police that were considered useful. But it was a call from a McDonald's employee in Altoona, Pennsylvania, that zeroed in on the suspect, Luigi Mangione. The rewards total as much as $60,000 for anyone calling in a tip leading to a break in the case. Exactly who will get a reward or share in one is still being determined. The FBI program offered a reward of up to $50,000 in this case. It requires a tip or information leading to an arrest and conviction. Also, the person giving the tip must be nominated, usually by a federal agency. I'm Ed Donahue.
It's not your typical lottery. This one is to see the happenings inside the Supreme Court. Correspondent Mike Hempen explains.
People wanting to see the Supreme Court in person can enter a new online lottery system. The lottery will be in place beginning with cases that will be argued in late February. It will be used to distribute seats for arguments and for sessions where the justices won't hear new cases but might announce decisions in previously argued cases. The court hasn't said how many seats will be available via the lottery. The courtroom seats about 400 people, but sometimes only a few dozen seats are set aside for the public. Mike Hempen, Washington.
America in the Morning for Friday, December 13th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay, senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
The clock is ticking for Congress on Capitol Hill. I'm Clayton Neville.
Donald Trump's pick for defense secretary meets with a key Democratic senator on the Hill yesterday. I'm John Stolness in Washington.
The Biden administration is making a final diplomatic push for stability in the Middle East. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Missing American found alive in Syria. And Super Bowl's winningest coach heads to college.
Meta has donated $1 million to Donald Trump's inauguration fund. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The Biden administration has finalized a rule that would limit overdraft fees. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Back after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning this Friday and a check of weather across the nation, beginning in the West. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
In stark contrast with the first few days of this month in the West, when strong high pressure blocked the storm track off to the north and into Canada, weaker high pressure now over the interior will be able to be shoved aside by a strong disturbance approaching the Pacific Northwest coast. While the actual core of the storm is likely to push onshore over British Columbia later Saturday, impacts from this intensifying storm will increase in the U.S. through the morning hours today, when steady rain will return to the coast of Northern California before pressing inland through the day. The rain then spreads northward near and along the coast, eventually extending through much of Washington and Oregon, with mountain snow from the Sierra Nevada through the Cascades, the Blue Mountains of Oregon, and even southwest Idaho. Through Saturday, rain and high-elevation snow reach as far inland as western Wyoming and Utah's Wasatch Range. Otherwise, areas from the Intermountain West to the High Plains should be mainly dry, outside of some snow showers over the Rockies. However, a push of moisture to the south of a developing warm front is likely to produce a fairly narrow strip of showers from eastern Texas northward into Kansas. North of there, toward the Nebraska-Iowa border area, precipitation should arrive as a messy mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain instead, lasting through the nighttime hours. Speaking of frozen precipitation, look for lake-effect snow to gradually wind down in many spots through the day, as strong high pressure shifting toward the interior northeast brings calmer winds to the Great Lakes overall. However, snow showers may continue downwind of Lake Ontario all day, with flakes also flying over northern portions of Michigan. Beyond that, there can be some showers as well along the Atlantic coast of Florida, but the rest of the east looks dry today. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Remember, follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. Just search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. I'm John Trout. It's been a contentious week in the United States Senate. Correspondent Clayton Neville reports senators are tackling a range of issues to include Social Security and recent drone sightings.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the Senate is now moving toward a vote on the Social Security Fairness Act in the final days of the congressional session.
This is a chance for senators to do the right thing for our teachers and nurses and postal workers and law enforcement officers and firefighters. And they'll certainly be watching what we do with their retirement benefits.
The bill would do away with policies that limit Social Security payouts for about 3 million people.
Senator Schumer says we're going to get the vote. We're going to get this done.
Senator Elizabeth Warren has been pushing the legislation this week with Leader Schumer.
People who need that money would not have it. But because you stood up for yourselves, you stood up for your brothers, you stood up for your sisters, we're going to make change all across this country.
The bill has provisions that advocates say will benefit public servants by ending Social Security penalties that reduce their income after they retire.
A strongly bipartisan bill already approved by the Republican House that would ensure Americans are not erroneously denied their well-earned Social Security benefits simply because they chose at some point to work in their careers in public service.
While the clock's ticking for Democrats on the Social Security front, members of Congress are still trying to get to the bottom of drone sightings over New Jersey. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand spoke with Fox News.
If they are foreign directed, then it is illegal what they are doing. And they could be spying, they could be choosing targets, they could be doing anything that could be nefarious, and we don't know where they're from or whose they are.
Despite concerns from lawmakers, the White House, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security now say they have no evidence that drone sightings reported in New Jersey posed any national security or safety threats. I'm Clayton Neville.
With President-elect Donald Trump's pick to head the Pentagon far from a sure thing to be confirmed, Pete Hegseth met with a key senator in the hopes of peeling off at least one Democrat to support him. John Stolnis has that story from Washington.
Hegseth has spent much of the last few weeks meeting with Republican senators, not all of whom are convinced he's the right man to be the next defense secretary. Yesterday, Hegseth met with his first Democratic senator, Pennsylvania's John Fetterman. Hegseth with reporters as he walked into Fetterman's office on Capitol Hill.
Meeting with Republicans and in this case Democrats because there's nothing political about national security.
Prior to meeting, Fetterman indicated he was keeping an open mind and afterwards told reporters it was still very early on in the process.
I'm not really sure that, like I said, there's not really any new thing. We had a conversation and that's part of the process.
Republican Congressman Jim Banks came to Hegseth's aid yesterday after the U.S. Military Academy at West Point had to apologize after an employee incorrectly claimed Hegseth was not a West Point graduate, even though he was. Banks accused West Point administrators of trying to sabotage Hegseth's nomination. Meanwhile, Trump's pick to head the FBI, Kash Patel, was also meeting with senators, yesterday getting ready for a sit-down with Texas Republican Ted Cruz.
It has been a humbling process to receive their advice during the consent and advice process, and I'm looking forward to continuing that during the confirmation process as I learn every day as I go. And I'm thrilled to be President Trump's nominee for the director of the FBI.
In New York, Trump's incoming border czar, Tom Homan, met with New York Mayor Eric Adams, where the two talked about New York's policies on undocumented migrants. Adams maintained his city would continue to support migrants who came to the Big Apple.
We're going to protect the rights of immigrants in the city that are hardworking, giving back to the city in a real way. We're not going to be a safe haven for those who commit repeated violent crimes.
New York already provides free education for all minors in the state, but also offers health care and emergency shelter to low-income residents, even if they are not legal residents. John Stolnis, Washington.
Top aides to President Biden are making a final diplomatic push in the Middle East in efforts to end the war in Gaza and stabilize Syria. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
In Israel, White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan was trying to cinch a ceasefire deal with Hamas and pushed back on the idea Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu wants to hold off until Donald Trump takes office.
I got the sense today from the Prime Minister he's ready to do a deal. And when I go to Doha and Cairo, my goal will be to put us in a position to be able to close this deal this month, not later. Now, we've been close before and haven't gotten there, so I can't make any promises or predictions to you. But I wouldn't be here today if I thought this thing was just waiting till after January 20th. I am here today because I believe every day matters, and we're going to use every day we have to try to close the deal as soon as we possibly can.
Sullivan's not punting either.
Hamas's posture at the negotiating table did adapt following the announcement of the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon. Why is that? It's because for months, we believe Hamas was waiting for lots of other actors and forces to come to their rescue, to come to their aid. And when we got that ceasefire, it was clear that the Northern Front had been decoupled from Gaza. And from that moment forward, we've had a different character to the negotiation.
Meantime, in Jordan,
we're back in the region at a time of both real promise, but also peril for Syria and for its neighbors.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken was focused on a peaceful transition of power in Damascus.
This moment presents a historic opportunity, but it also carries considerable risks. History shows how quickly moments of promise can descend into conflict and violence.
Sagar Meghani, Washington.
When our program continues, Belichick goes to college and tech titans line up behind Trump. Just part of what we're covering next when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Welcome back. You're with America in the Morning. I'm John Trout. A man identifying himself as an American from Missouri was found Thursday in Syria after he said he was freed when rebels who ousted Bashar al-Assad from power overran the prison where he was being held. Travis Timmerman was found wandering in his bare feet outside of Damascus. He was being held by Syrian authorities for entering the country illegally, saying that he had gone to Syria for Christian spiritual purposes. Timmerman was last seen in Budapest, Hungary in June. It's believed he crossed the Syrian border from Lebanon. The State Department was unaware he was even in Syria, and at the time were looking for missing U.S. journalist Austin Tice, who had been held by the Assad regime since 2012 and so far has not been located. Shifting gears, 6 Super Bowl wins as head coach and 2 more as a defensive coordinator. Bill Belichick's lifelong goal of coaching a college football team has become reality. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh reports.
New North Carolina football coach Bill Belichick says he had long been interested in coaching in the college ranks. Now he'll have the chance as he takes over the Tar Heels.
Had some good years in the NFL, so that was okay. But this is really kind of a dream come true.
The 72-year-old Belichick was introduced as the program's 35th head coach Thursday in a press conference that included athletic director Bubba Cunningham wearing a suit with both sleeves cut off in tribute to Belichick's iconic hoodies.
In the immortal words of Yogi Berra, the future ain't what it used to be.
The 6-time Super Bowl champion and longtime Patriots coach says he intends to stay in college, despite trailing all-time NFL coaching wins leader Don Shula by 15 victories.
Yeah, I didn't come here to leave.
I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The owner of Meta has given a mega donation to the Donald Trump Inauguration Fund. Correspondent Haya Panjwani reports.
The parent company of Facebook and Instagram said it donated $1 million to the president-elect's fund just weeks after Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg met with Trump privately at Mar-a-Lago. Corporations have traditionally made up a large share of donors to presidential inaugurations, with the exception of 2009, when then-President-elect Barack Obama refused to accept corporate donations. He reversed course for his second inauguration in 2013. I'm Haya Panjwani.
The Wall Street Journal is reporting that Amazon's founder Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, will also be giving Trump's inauguration fund a $1 million donation. Tech giants appear to be clearing the way for new relations with the White House. America in the Morning continues. Banking customers will be happy to learn that double-digit overdraft fees may become a thing of the past. Correspondent Jackie Quinn reports.
The Biden administration has finalized a rule that would limit overdraft fees that banks can charge their customers. President Biden's been speaking out against junk fees and says banks charging up to $35 to those who bounce a check is exploitative. So the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is trying to cap those fees at just $5, or at least require banks to charge no more than what they lost in the transaction, or clearly post the terms of an overdraft loan. The finalized rules are set to take effect in October of next year, but it's not clear if they will survive under the incoming Trump administration, and banks are expected to fight the new regulations in court. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Google had told the FTC that Microsoft is engaging in unfair business practices in their hosting agreement with OpenAI. Here's Chuck Palm to explain in today's Tech Report.
In a slightly unusual twist, the accusation comes after months of deals between the two companies, starting with Microsoft's multi-billion-dollar investment into OpenAI and the subsequent rollout of GPT-powered AI tools across the Office software suite. Google is claiming that Microsoft's position as the only cloud provider for OpenAI would limit market competition and impose higher costs for those customers who want to access OpenAI technologies. It's no surprise that Google and Microsoft are competitors, especially in the server space hosting environment. Both Google and Microsoft have come under scrutiny by the FTC, primarily for anti-competition practices. Google could come out looking like the tattletale in this story, but it's pretty clear that Microsoft has designs on keeping that partnership with OpenAI. For more tech news, follow me on X at Chuck Palm.
America in the Morning's Robert Workman has a check of Friday sports.
NFL Week 15 kicked off in a downpour in Santa Clara. The Rams sloshed past the 49ers 12-6. Joshua Carty booted 4 field goals for LA, 3 of them in the fourth quarter. The win moves the Rams within a half game of the Seahawks at the top of the NFC West and just a half game out of a wild card slot with 3 games to play. 2 big games coming up on Sunday afternoon, the Bills at the Lions and the Steelers against the Eagles. College football Saturday, Army and Navy clash outside D.C. for the 125th time. Bowl season begins Saturday night in Montgomery, Alabama. The Salute to Veterans Bowl, South Alabama against Western Michigan. And in between, the Heisman Trophy will be awarded in New York City. The finalists, Oregon quarterback Dylan Gabriel, Boise State running back Austin Genty, Colorado two-way star Travis Hunter, and Miami quarterback Cam Ward. The college football playoffs begin 1 week from tonight. NBA wins for the Celtics, Heat, and Kings. College basketball, number 3 Iowa State beat rival Iowa 89-80. NHL, the Penguins pounded the Canadians 9-2. Brian Rust had a hat trick. Lightning doused the Flames 8-3. A hatter for Jake Gensel. Nikita Kucherov had a goal and 5 assists. The Oilers overwhelmed the Wild 7-1. Leon Draisaitl with his league-leading 21st goal and 3 helpers. The Canucks shut out the Panthers. Overtime wins for the Capitals and Golden Knights. That's Friday Sports.
Thank you, Robert. When we return on America in the Morning, the Grinch that tried to steal Christmas, after these messages. You're with America in the Morning. There's new trouble for jailed music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. Entertainment correspondent Margie Zaraletta reports 3 more lawsuits have been filed against Combs alleging sexual misconduct.
3 men have filed lawsuits anonymously in New York State court seeking unspecified damages from Sean Diddy Combs. One man said he was a longtime Combs employee, meeting him at a hotel to discuss payments in 2020 when Combs drugged and raped him. Another said Combs drugged and raped him at a hotel party in 2019, and he says a man who recorded the incident gave him $2,500 afterwards. A third man said Combs and his record label associates drugged and raped him at a party at Combs' mansion in the Hamptons in 2020. Combs' lawyers say the lawsuits are full of lies, but decline to elaborate. Combs is facing a wave of lawsuits as he also awaits trial on federal sex trafficking charges. I'm Archie Zaraletta.
The Lord of the Rings returns to the big screen in a new animated adventure. Kevin Carr has a sneak peek.
The Lord of the Rings returns to theaters, this time in animated form.
All Middle-earth knows the tale of the War of the Ring. But 200 years before that, there was an older tale.
The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim mines Tolkien's appendices for the history of Helm's Deep, the site of a major battle in the Two Towers. We go back in Middle-earth's history when a conflict between two houses sends one on the run.
You do not seek an alliance. You seek a throne.
Childhood friends on either side must try to reconcile their differences to save their families.
The boy I knew would never wish for war.
The boy you knew is gone.
The choice of traditional 2D animation led by famous anime director Kenji Kamiyama brings The Lord of the Rings full circle with Ralph Bakshi's 1978 theatrical film and The Hobbit TV movie. It's an entirely appropriate medium that allows the film to embody its own universe without relying on special effects gimmickry.
People need hope, Hera. Something to believe in.
The voice cast is strong and the action in animated form is impressive. However, we have seen a lot of this before, and the complex background may be lost on anyone but die-hard Tolkien fans.
What does Mordor want with rings?
I appreciate the franchise's return to big screen spectacle, and the animation plays well in that scope.
You could rule the world.
The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim gets 3.5 swords out of 5. I'm Kevin Carr, and that's the way I see it.
Finally today, it was not the night before Christmas, and what was stirring in the chimney was not there with care. Correspondent Ed Donahue reports police were called and arrested someone who was clearly not Santa Claus.
Police in Fall River, Massachusetts arrested a man they say was channeling the essence of the seasonal icon, Santa Claus.
Somebody ran! Somebody ran! He's in the chimney?
Yes, the suspect they were chasing got stuck in a chimney.
You're an idiot. Get up! Show us your hand right now! Show us your hand!
Detectives called firefighters who had to carefully knock out bricks to free the man.
There you go.
Police say due to his Santa antics, the man was transported to a local hospital out of caution. He's facing drug charges. I'm Ed Donahue.
That's our show for today. America in the Morning for Friday, December 13th, 2024 is produced by Jeff McKay. Senior producer Kevin Delaney. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.